Hi everyone, today's video is all about how to apply a cushion foundation, primarily the Tier Mask Fit Red Cushion Foundation that I reviewed recently. So, a lot of people wanted to try this, a lot of people had already tried this, and I think there's a lot of confusion on how to actually apply this to get a really natural skin-like finish, because as the name suggests, mask fit, this can give you a very mask-like coverage. It has a lot of coverage in here, but applied correctly, this stuff is stunning. Now, I have been guilty in the past of not always applying this foundation in the correct way. I've just winged and a prayed it, and it's come out okay, but halfway through the day, my T-zone especially, any problematic areas that I've had, have become really heavy and not so skin-like. That was until I came across a video from Robert Welsh. Robert Welsh is a very talented makeup artist here in the UK. He did a video all about how to apply cushion foundations. I took a lot of inspiration from his video to create this one. I will link his video in the description box for you if you want to check that out, because he does give a lot more detail in his video than I'm going to do. This one is going to be much more condensed and solely going to be about application. So I am not a makeup artist like Robert, I just don't have the skills, but I am girl next door just wanting my skin to look the best that it can be. So I do like to listen to makeup artists, take their tips and tricks, and then adapt them for my own skin and for my own style. So that's exactly what this video is about. If you're new here, hello, my name's Gemma. I am 44 years old, lover of everything beauty, skincare and makeup. I upload a lot of beauty content on this channel. If you are enjoying what you're watching, I'd love it if you would come and join the family by clicking the like button, the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you are a returning viewer, hi. Welcome back. The first thing I want to mention is really important if you want your cushion foundation to last as long as physically possible and not dry out. Usually there is a lid that you open and then there is another lid inside that you can see all of the foundation in. Once you're done with the foundation, make sure you close that off and click it shut. If you haven't clicked it shut, air will be able to get in there and it will dry out. So always make sure that you've closed everything up and not left everything open, and that way your cushion foundation is going to last for a much longer. Secondly, it's really important how you hold the sponge. So you don't have to hold it exactly the same way that I do, but the aim is to get an even amount of pressure from the sponge transferred to the skin. If it's an even amount of pressure going all the way over the sponge, then you're going to get much more even coverage and you're not going to have to work as hard. So 3 fingers for me. You may be able to fit all 3 fingers underneath the strap. If you can do, great. I personally can't, and I don't want to stretch this little ribbon. So I'm going to hold it how Robert held it in his video, which is 2 fingers under the strap and 1 over to hold those in place. Make sure that your fingers are all the way to the end of the sponge to allow you to get even amount of pressure over the entire thing, and that way much more even coverage. Now, you don't want to be applying the foundation with this tiny portion of the sponge right in front of the pads of your fingers. You want to be applying the foundation with the entire sponge. Obviously, that is going to be a bit of a challenge when you come to the more problematic areas, like around the nose area, on the eyelids, in between the brows. So for that, I changed the positioning of my fingers. So the finger that is outside the ribbon, I put inside the ribbon, and the fingers that are inside the ribbon, I actually put outside the ribbon. The 2 fingers that are outside the ribbon hold the sponge in a curved motion so that it's completely wrapped around that middle finger. And then if you want to, you can just apply foundation to that end portion, giving you a lot more control, a lot more flexibility, and then you can do the eyelids in between the brows and around the portions of the nose without getting too much product on those areas. So let's just talk about the sponge for a second, because this is made of non-porous material. So when you dip this into the cushion foundation, you're going to pick up a lot of product, and that product is only going to sit on the surface. It's not going to sink in. So it's really important that you don't apply too much product to the sponge, because every single bit of it is going to be transferred to the skin. And this is how I see this done so badly so many times, because people are applying way too much product to the skin, and that's when it starts to look like a mask. Because of that, all you want to do is press the sponge firmly into the cushion foundation once. As soon as you've applied it, press it on the inside of the cap a few times to remove any excess. When you look at the sponge, it's going to look like there is no product on there, but believe me, there's lots. I like to start application in the larger areas of my face, so my cheeks, my forehead, and then I move on to my chin. I always start in the center of those areas, regardless of how much coverage I need anywhere else, because this foundation does dry down quite quickly, and I don't want too much foundation towards my hairline, anywhere near my drier areas around my mouth, anywhere near my oily T-zone around my nose area. So I like to make sure that the majority of the product sits in the center, and then I blend outwards. Try not to be so aggressive with the sponge. I see so many people slapping the living life out of their skin with these things, and it's just not necessary. Yes, it's going to increase blood flow to the skin, but it's also going to increase friction. And for those of us with sensitive skin, that also means that it's going to increase irritation. And you definitely don't want that when you're applying a foundation. So be gentle, but firm. Let's just talk about nose application for a second, because everyone's nose shape is going to be different. Some people have more skin to deal with, some people have minute little noses. Robert does like to do a bit of a swiping motion. He showed that in his video. Again, I've linked his video in the description box for everybody if you want to check that out. That particular technique doesn't work for me. My nose is really wonky and I have crevices all over the place. So I like to fold my foundation sponge, hold it with those two outer fingers, and use the tip of my finger to really press the foundation in place around those hard to reach areas. I also do this around the brows, on the eyelids, in the crevice of my chin also, and instead of swiping down the bridge of the nose, I just like to pat down the bridge of the nose, making sure that I don't have too much foundation on my sponge, because this is the smallest area and I want to make sure it looks natural and it doesn't go cakey throughout the day. Once I've got foundation on each and every section, I like to take my sponge and tap it very gently over all areas one more time. This just helps to make sure everything is smooth, everything is blended, and it helps to push the foundation into the skin, melting it into the skin, making it look more like skin rather than a foundation. Once you've applied the foundation, you can definitely powder this in place if you want to. If you don't like powder, a setting spray will also do the job, or you don't have to apply any of those if you don't want to. I do like to add a little bit of a setting powder over the top just in my oily T-zone area to add a bit more added security, to make sure that this is going to last all the way through the day and still look perfect after 10 hours, but that's just my thing. You don't need to do that if you don't want to. These techniques have massively improved the way that my foundation not only looks after first application, but how it wears throughout the day. I don't get any cakiness, I don't get any gathering or any of the foundation breaking down in those oilier areas. It just looks lovely. And when I first tried the Tier foundation out, it looked really heavy in areas on my skin, but now it looks like my skin and it lasts all day. Honestly, I don't think I have had as many compliments for my skin as I have when I've been wearing this foundation. Honestly, the compliments come flooding in. So if you've already got the Tier foundation, or any other foundation for that matter, you tried it, you really didn't like it, you thought it looked unnatural, very mask-like, a bit too heavy, went a bit cakey or started to separate throughout the day, pick it up again, don't waste it, try it out again with these techniques, because honestly, just adapting a few things just made this work for me, and I have Robert Welsh to thank, so thank you, Robert, for doing that. Just make sure that you don't apply too much foundation to the sponge, and every time you dip back into the sponge, you tap off the excess on the back of the cushion lid. Doing it this way, you get to save all the product. You can tap it on the back of your hand if you want to, but you'll waste the foundation. So tap it on the back of the lid, and that way it's there for you when you want to dip again. Instead of dipping in the foundation cushion, you dip on the back of the cushion lid, and you get all the foundation and none goes to waste. So once again, thank you to Robert Welsh for being the inspiration of this video. If you don't follow him already, I definitely recommend that you do, because he is a wealth of knowledge. Again, I have popped his video in the description box. Please don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.